I was leaving the day party. We was headed to where we was headed to. Pull out the lot on the day party and get up the street. They started shooting, they shot.
The tragic fate of Young Dolph's killer is one that twists and turns like a suspense-filled thriller. Memphis, a city where the legacy of rap giants reigns, was suddenly rocked by the devastating news of Young Dolph's murder. Fans are left in disbelief at this unexpected and sudden demise of a star. The killer, caught in the spotlight, became a hunted figure, a ghost pursued by both the law and the streets. What could possibly drive someone to take the life of an artist so loved by his community? The fate of this individual, who thought they could get away with silencing the king of Memphis, is as tragic as his crime. Curious about how this tragic story ends? Let's dig deeper into the aftermath of one of hip-hop's darkest moments. The tragic events unfolded on November 17th, 2021, when Young Dolph rolled up to the Airways location of Makeda's. Just moments after entering the store, chaos erupted as masked gunmen. The trial of Young Dolph's murder. With so much media buzz in Shelby County, an outside jury from Davidson County has been brought in to make sure the case is heard without distractions. And trust me, distractions would be easy to come by with all the twists this trial is already serving. Cornelius Smith Jr. and Hernandez Govan were initially set to stand trial alongside Justin Johnson. But hold on. According to the prosecution's opening statements, Smith and Govan are now expected to testify against Johnson. Yep, that's right. 2 of the 3 suspects have flipped, adding even more suspense to this already high-profile case. The stakes couldn't be higher as the courtroom gears up for testimony that could blow the case wide open. The trial officially kicked off on Monday, September 23, 2024, and Johnson now stands alone in the spotlight, facing serious charges, including first-degree murder, unlawful carrying and possession of a firearm, and theft of property. It's all connected to the tragic death of Young Dolph, real name Adolph Thornton Jr., a Memphis icon whose murder shocked the rap community. With Smith taking the stand and testify against Johnson, this trial is shaping up to be one for the books. The trial for Young Dolph's alleged killers has kicked off with an explosive twist. Brace yourselves. Right from the start, one of the accused shooters, Cornelius Smith, dropped a major bombshell in court. He's up on the stand, and suddenly he confesses. Yes, you read that right. Cornelius openly admits he's the man caught on that chilling November 2021 surveillance footage, holding and firing the semi-automatic weapon that took the life of Memphis rap legend Young Dolph. But wait, there's more. As if his confession wasn't enough to leave everyone's jaws on the courtroom floor, Cornelius didn't go down alone. He dragged his co-defendant into the spotlight too. Imagine the gasps and whispers rippling through the crowd as Cornelius pointed the finger, implicating his partner in crime in a very dramatic way. Cornelius Smith, one of the accused shooters, took the stand and dropped a series of jaw-dropping revelations that left everyone buzzing. First off, Smith admitted that when he pulled the trigger on the Memphis rap icon, he felt nothing. No remorse, no fear. According to him, it was all about the money, and not just any money. He was promised a cool $100,000 for the hit. Who was behind this sinister payout? None other than Yo Gotti's now-deceased brother, Big Jook, who in a twist of fate was killed in January. I wasn't feeling nothing at the time. I was just trying to get some money. I saw him standing by the window. I just got out of the car and started shooting. But Smith wasn't done stirring the pot. In a dramatic courtroom confession, he pointed fingers at Justin Johnson, his alleged accomplice. Smith claimed Johnson was the one firing the handgun during the murder, making sure to drag him deeper into the web of this chaotic crime. Things didn't exactly go as planned during the hit on Young Dolph. Cue the action scene. As the shooters opened fire, Dolph's brother wasn't about to go down without a fight. In a dramatic twist, he fired back, hitting Cornelius Smith multiple times in the shoulder, arm, and leg. Imagine the chaos. Bullets flying, Smith bleeding, and suddenly, the entire plan spiraling out of control. But the story doesn't end there. In true survival mode, Smith somehow managed to escape despite his injuries and found his way to a nearby apartment. There, he patched himself up using a med kit, like something straight out of an action movie. It's a wild turn of events, and you can just picture the tension, the adrenaline, and the panic. Despite his quick thinking, though, the damage was done. As if that wasn't enough, Smith threw another name into the mix, Hernandez Govan, his former drug dealer. According to Smith, Govan was the one who let them in on the $100K bounty Big Jook had put on Dolph's head. Big Jook, the person I told you about before, the number 2 guy at CMG, he's put out a hit A hit, $100,000 to whoever kills Dolph. He has met with Justin, Johnson, he has met with Cornelius Smith, and they think they're ready to do it. Here's where things get even crazier. Smith revealed that he and Johnson barely knew each other, having only been acquainted for a few months before the shooting. The plan? To split the $100,000 bounty between them, with each taking $40,000 and giving Govan $10,000. But wait, that math doesn't add up, right? There's still $10,000 missing. Well, it turns out Smith never saw anything close to $40K. After all the smoke cleared, he says he only walked away with $800. Yep, you read that right. The guy who took part in one of Memphis's most shocking crimes only pocketed $800. Can you imagine being part of such a high-stakes plot for a massive payday, only to end up with barely enough cash to pay rent? The courtroom is now buzzing with questions. Why was the money split this way? What happened to the rest of it? And how does Govan fit into this tangled web of murder, drugs, and betrayal? The fate of the killers. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy spilled some interesting tea after the opening statements in the Young Dolph murder trial. While Cornelius Smith is fully cooperating with the prosecution, Mulroy kept things mysterious when it came to Hernandez Govan, dodging any specific details. All he'd say is that both Smith and Govan's futures hang in the balance, and their fates will either be sealed by a plea deal or decided at trial.
Cornelius Smith. Smith, good morning.
Smith's court trial. Luke Evans, defense attorney for Justin Johnson, didn't waste any time during the cross-examination of Cornelius Smith. He went straight for the jugular, grilling Smith on what he told law enforcement after his arrest. Spoiler alert, Smith admitted he wasn't exactly honest. At first, he claimed he had never seen the infamous Mercedes involved in the case and didn't even know Justin Johnson. But under pressure from Evans, Smith came clean and admitted that those were lies. Smith also revealed that he had met with law enforcement 3 or 4 times to prepare for the trial. Evans, clearly trying to cast doubt on Smith's credibility, suggested that his story had conveniently evolved over time with a little help from the authorities. And then things got even juicier. Evans dropped the bombshell that Smith's original lawyer had been paid a whopping $50,000 to represent him in the case. When Evans asked where that money came from, Smith confirmed it wasn't from his own pockets. Nope, the cash came from CMG, the record label tied to Yo Gotti and Big Jook. Smith's admissions about lying to the police and taking money from CMG certainly cast a shadow over his testimony, giving the defense a lot of ammunition to work with. There's no question that that money was for services rendered, for killing Dolph. You didn't think then, man, I really shouldn't get money for killing somebody. Regarding the picture of Johnson with his suitcase packed, taken after Dolph's murder, Smith admitted that he doesn't know if Johnson was ever paid for the hit on Young Dolph. Stuff slip a person's mind at the time. When law enforcement questioned me, I'm not going to remember everything right there, bit for bit. Luke Evans, defense attorney for Justin Johnson, turned up the heat during his cross-examination of Cornelius Smith. He hit Smith with some direct questions, including one about whether he had bragged about being able to get up on Dolph real easy because he knew where Young Dolph's aunt lived and saw the rapper there weekly. Smith firmly denied ever saying that, but the tension in the room was palpable. Evans wasn't done. He asked Smith if he was hoping to get some kind of deal or leniency in exchange for his testimony. Smith, playing it cool, said no. He just wanted to get everything off his chest and clear his conscience. According to Smith, he was speaking up for his own peace of mind, not for any legal breaks. But Evans wasn't buying it and had a different story to tell. Evans brought up a claim that Smith had told a different tale to his sisters after his arrest back in 2022. He suggested that Smith might have been more interested in a deal than he was letting on. While Evans didn't go into detail right away, the implication was clear. Smith's testimony might not be as straightforward or selfless as he wanted everyone to believe. The cross-examination was intense, with Evans working hard to poke holes in Smith's narrative. Was Smith really just trying to clear his conscience, or was he angling for a lighter sentence? Evans wanted the jury to have their doubts, especially with the inconsistency between what Smith allegedly told his sisters and what he was saying on the stand. That's also what they found in his letters to his sisters. My lawer is trying to tell me my best out is working with the feds, helping them, something I've never done in my life. That's the only way I will not do life in jail. They got to let me walk free. Luke Evans wasn't holding back during his cross-examination of Cornelius Smith, pressing him on why he lied to his family after his arrest. Smith's response? He admitted he was just hoping for the best and trying to speak it into existence. Classic case of wishful thinking, right? Smith explained that he eventually realized Govan had already talked to law enforcement, so at that point, he knew they already know everything. You repeatedly say in these letters to your sister that you didn't do this and you're only going to cooperate to get yourself a deal. Evans kept the pressure on, bringing up a letter Smith had written to his sisters. In that letter, Smith revealed that he had met with Govan, and the conversation raised some serious red flags. According to Smith, it felt like Govan was on a tight deadline to find someone to take the blame for the whole situation. That little nugget of information painted Govan as someone who might have been scrambling to pin the crime on someone else, possibly even Smith. Smith's admission that he was trying to speak it into existence only added to the drama, making everyone wonder how much of his testimony was influenced by his own hopes versus the cold, hard facts. And with Govan's actions thrown into the mix, things were getting even murkier. In a jaw-dropping moment during the trial, Cornelius Smith came clean about a rather questionable move. He admitted to trying to get his girlfriend to lie for him to create an alibi. Oh, the drama. Defense attorney Luke Evans pounced on this confession, turning up the heat even more. He asked Smith if he had any inkling the day before Young Dolph was murdered that he was planning to kill him. Smith didn't skip a beat. He simply said he was out looking for somebody. What a vague and ominous statement. But that's not all. Evans revealed that on the morning of the murder, Smith had sent a text saying it was his big day. The courtroom collectively leaned in, hanging on every word. When pressed, Smith claimed he was talking about his daughter's birthday. A nice touch, but the timing was definitely suspicious. As if that wasn't enough, Smith then mentioned he had told his child's mother he planned to buy her a house. Talk about high-stakes promises. But he brushed it off, saying it was all just game. He even went as far as to differentiate between lying and game, suggesting he was just playing the angles. Evans wasn't letting him off the hook that easily, though. When asked directly if he was lying to the jury, Smith shot back, "I ain't trying to run game on nobody." Jamarcus Johnson's trial.
Yes, sir.
You are charged with taking possession of some of your brother's property after the Dolph killing, and for aiding him to communicate with another man by the name of Cornelius Smith after the Dolph killing.
But wait, there's more. A fourth suspect, Jamarcus Johnson, already took a different path in this twisted saga. In October 2023, Johnson pleaded guilty to 3 counts of accessory after the fact. For his role in the case, he's looking at a sentence of 6 to 12 years behind bars. Johnson's attorney, Luke Evans, came out swinging in his opening statements, telling the jury that Cornelius Smith's testimony should be taken with a huge grain of salt. Why? Because according to Evans, Smith is only looking out for number one and trying to cut a deal to save his own skin. So, Evans says, don't buy into his story.
17 hours and 8 minutes before the murder. What's that?
That's the white expedition, Ford expedition, going into the garage.
Evans stood firm in his defense of Justin Johnson, insisting that his client is innocent. He pushed back hard against the prosecution's claim that Johnson is the person in the surveillance footage from the night of Young Dolph's murder. Sure, there are photos of Johnson wearing similar clothes to the suspect, but Evans argued that just because someone dresses the same doesn't mean they are the same person. The clothes, the accusations, it's all circumstantial, and none of it proves Johnson was the one pulling the trigger. Mr. Johnson sits before you innocent, and he'll remain that way, because at the conclusion of this case, once you've heard all the evidence and all the testimony, you will not be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that he did this, because he didn't. Jamarcus took the stand and dropped some interesting details about his relationship with his brother, Justin Johnson. According to his testimony, he and Justin grew up in separate households and didn't really see each other that often, more like distant cousins than brothers. Their interactions were few and far between. Fast forward to November 2021, Jamarcus made it clear that he knew who Young Dolph was. He knew Dolph was a rapper, but he had zero involvement in any plot to kill him. He was adamant about that, saying he wasn't part of any plan to harm Young Dolph or any other artist from PRE, Dolph's record label. When it came to 2021, Jamarcus testified that he only saw Justin maybe 2 or 3 times the whole year, and they didn't even share the same circle of friends. He emphasized that he didn't know Treon Ingram, a name that popped up during the investigation. As for where Jamarcus was at the time of the murder, he said he was living in an apartment complex in East Memphis, nowhere near the crime scene. His testimony definitely added some layers to the case, raising questions about just how connected he really was to the whole situation. After the murder of Young Dolph, Jamarcus said that Justin Johnson contacted him about bringing Jamarcus a rental car. Justin Johnson knew that Jamarcus did not have a car at the time. Justin Johnson brought him a white Chrysler. When Justin Johnson pulled up, Jamarcus said Justin had 2 phones and was switching numbers from one phone to the other. Justin was going to give him one of his 2 phones to manage his social media and check his emails. Jamarcus said that Justin wanted him to post videos and content to his social media. Justin provided no explanation to Jamarcus why he needed his half-brother to post to social media for him, and did not tell him that he was going out of town. Suspicious, isn't it? Wait, there's more. Jamarcus Johnson said that Justin Johnson received 2 phone calls while they were together before getting into a white SUV. Jamarcus would contact Justin and let him know whenever someone tried to reach Justin Johnson on the phone that was given to Jamarcus. He helped Justin Johnson have a 3-way conversation with a man who went by the name C. Jamarcus Johnson said that he later learned that C was Cornelius Smith, another defendant in the case who admitted to taking part in the murder of Young Dolph. Some of a conversation between the two, according to Jamarcus Johnson, had to do with money. Jamarcus Johnson saw some of Smith's texts which were about money, and that Smith asked Justin Johnson if he had talked to Unc. Jamarcus Johnson said he later learned that Unc was Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother. Prosecutors alleged that Big Jook put out a $100,000 hit on Young Dolph. With so many players in this complex case and alliances constantly shifting, things are heating up fast. Will Govan stay quiet or flip like Smith? And what impact will Jamarcus Johnson's plea have on the rest of the trial? Young Dolph's crime. When you've got enough haters, even your drive and passion can become the very thing they use to bring you down. Deputy District Attorney Paul Hagerman made this clear during his opening statements in the Young Dolph murder trial. He painted a picture of Dolph, whose real name was Adolph Thornton Jr., as someone fiercely determined to carve his own path in the music industry. Dolph wasn't just a rapper, he was a self-made artist, building not only his career, but also his label, Paper Route Empire, from the ground up. He was doing it all on his terms, without relying on anyone else. And while that independent hustle earned him respect from fans, it also attracted the wrong kind of attention from those who saw his success as a threat. Hagerman's words hit hard, pointing out that sometimes, when you shine too bright, your enemies will find any excuse to snuff you out. Dolph's determination to make it on his own didn't sit well with everyone, and the jealousy and animosity that surrounded him eventually turned deadly. Trying to make it on your own can create enemies. Young Dolph and Yo Gotti's long-standing beef. Here's where the drama between Young Dolph and Yo Gotti's camp really takes off. According to the prosecution, Yo Gotti's label, Cocaine Music Group, now called Collective Music Group, wanted Young Dolph to join their ranks. But Dolph wasn't about that life. He was determined to go solo and build his own empire with Paper Route Empire. So, he turned them down. And, of course, things got heated after that. Dolph didn't just quietly walk away. He fired back in the most savage way possible for a rapper, with diss tracks. He aimed his lyrical shots directly at CMG, its artists, and its number 2, Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother. These diss tracks set the stage for a bitter rivalry that only intensified over the years. Dolph was no stranger to danger, either. He had already survived multiple attempts on his life before the fatal in Memphis. In September 2017, Dolph was shot several times after a fight broke out outside a Los Angeles hotel. Somehow, he pulled through. And earlier that year, in February, his SUV was sprayed with over 100 bullets in Charlotte, North Carolina. That terrifying incident inspired his track 100 Shots, where he boasted about surviving the ambush thanks to the bulletproof panels in his ride. It's like something straight out of an action movie, right? Dolph's resilience only added to his legend. The fact that he kept coming back, despite these life-threatening incidents, made his eventual murder in 2021 all the more tragic. The tension between Young Dolph and Yo Gotti's camps was like the hottest gossip in hip-hop, especially in Memphis. This beef was well known, simmering for years, and in 2017, Dolph opened up about the drama. His verdict was all about money, baby. The stakes were high, and the rivalry was intense, involving not just Gotti, but also his brother Big Jook and Black Youngsta. Fast forward to the aftermath of the hit, and things took a wild turn. After the shocking act was carried out, Cornelius Smith and his crew decided to FaceTime Big Jook to spill the tea on what just went down. But as Smith recounted the events, he had a moment of clarity and realized he needed to have a conscience. This self-reflection led him straight to the courtroom, where he dropped some serious confessions that could turn the entire case on its head. With Smith's dramatic testimony, it's no wonder the trial wasn't expected to stretch beyond this week. Aftermath of the murder. Young Dolph's tragic murder at Makita's homemade butter cookies left a huge impact, and we caught up with the owners to hear how they've been holding up since that fateful day. It's been a roller coaster ride, to say the least. The couple and owners of the business, Pamela and Maurice Hill, opened up about the challenges they faced in the aftermath of Dolph's death and the incredible support they've received from the community. The days right after Young Dolph was killed were particularly tough for them. The weight of that loss was heavy, not just for their business, but for the entire neighborhood. The Hills shared that they were in a state of shock, trying to process the violence that struck their beloved store. But as time went on, they've noticed a shift. Things have gradually gotten better, and they've felt the love and support from the community more than ever. It's been a healing process, but they are still very much in the fight for justice for Dolph. Some people come in here and start shedding tears. It's just beautiful to see his fans come and support the business that he loved to come to and try the cookies, and they fall in love themselves. We have our t-shirts ready to put on Monday in support of justice for Young Dolph. We are constantly praying for the family, and we just hope justice is served. Despite the heartbreak, Pamela and Maurice remain committed to honoring Dolph's legacy. They continue to keep the spirit of their business alive, determined to serve their community and support the artists who walk through their doors. They express their hope that justice will be served, not just for Young Dolph, but for everyone affected by this tragedy. Will justice be served? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, Young Dolph isn't one to be forgotten so easily. That's it from our side for today. We'll be back later. If you enjoyed the video, click on the link on your screen to watch similar ones.